compromises of the three things are there in the module 3. In the module 3, it is having the three things are there. So three parts of the three parts you are going to study in the module 3. So the first one is nothing but the first topic you are going to study about the system interconnection. System interconnection. Okay, how you are going to connect the system in the series and the parallel connection, you are going to do it here. Afterwards, you are going to see the properties of the impulse response. Properties of the impulse response. Impulse response. Okay, and the next one you're going to see the step response you're going to study. So step response you're going to study, that is a system interconnection, properties of the impulse response and the step response. This is the 1/3 of the this module, and remaining 1/3 will be the Fourier series. Fourier series for the continuous time signals. Fourier series for the continuous time signals and its properties. So on the properties of the statement is there is no proof of that one. So similarly, in the remaining half of this module, remaining 1/3 of this module, you are going to study for the Fourier series for the discrete time series and its properties. Okay, so these are the topics you are going to study in this module. Okay, these are the topics you are going to study in this module. Okay, so done, right? You are going to study system interconnection, properties of the impulse responses and the step response, Fourier series for the continuous time signal and the Fourier series for the discrete time signals. So all the three topics are very simple here. Let us start with I'm going to start with the properties of the impulse response. Later I'll come for the system interconnection. Okay, so done, right? Okay, let us take the properties of the. So I am going to give all the properties you have studied here. So properties of the impulse response of the system. Properties of the impulse response of the system of the LTI system you can take here. So LTI system. Okay. So for the systems in the module 1, so in the beginning of the module 2, already we have seen the many properties you studied in the module 2 of beginning. So there are some 6 properties are there. One is called linearity, time invariance, memory, stability, causality, and the invertibility. So right. So these are the 6 properties you have studied. Among the 6 properties, the 2 properties you have considered. One is called linearity and time invariance, and we call that as a LTI system we called here. Correct now? LTI system we called here. So this is a linearity and time invariance. So if you remove the 2 properties, the remaining 5 properties are nothing but remaining 4 properties are there. 4 properties. So among the 4 property, you are going to consider the memoryless you are going to consider, stability you are going to consider, causality you are going to consider for the impulse response of the system here. The impulse response of the system is nothing but. So h of t or the h of n, we are going to call it as the impulse response of the system. H of t or h of n, you are going to call it as the impulse response of the system. It is called here. Okay. So for this impulse response, we are going to verify some 3 properties you are going to verify, that is the memory, causality, and the stability you are going to verify. Let us see how the property will be defined here, on what basis you are going to understand this one, and let us see how we can verify that one here. Okay. So taken, right? So only 39 members are there. So remaining students are not interested. So remaining 18 students. Remaining 18 students not interested. Okay, so fine. So let us see. It's visible, right? Clarity of the video is there, right? Video clarity is there, right?
Little blur.
Okay, sometimes it will be blur. Okay, so because it's a cloud. Yeah, so it's a cloudy nature. Okay, so I'll focus. I'll see and I'll check it and focus properly. Okay, so done. So we have the LTI system is there. So this LTI system is having the impulse response. Okay, so either the system may be the continuous time system or it may be the discrete time system. The impulse response, it is h of t or h of n. Okay, h of n. So this is the LTI system. And the output you are going to get as y of t or y of n you are going to get here for the continuous time and discrete time system. So for this system, h of t or h of n, so it is called as the impulse response you are going to call here. For this impulse response, we are going to verify the properties. Let us see those properties here. Okay, so we can take, let us consider the LTI system. let us consider the LTI system. Let us consider the LTI system. Consider the LTI system. Okay, as shown below. Let us consider the LTI system as shown below. Okay, so take this one. Take the block diagram. Okay, so we can take h of t or h of n denotes the impulse response of the LTI system. Impulse response of the LTI system. H of t, h of n denotes the impulse response of the LTI system. For this impulse response, comma, you can take for this impulse response. We consider the following properties. Consider the following properties. Okay, we are going to consider the following properties. We are going to consider. We consider following properties. First one you can take. So it's first property is systems with memory or without memory. System with or without memory. System with or without memory. Okay, this is a property. So I already studied the memory or memoryless system here. So a system is said to be the memoryless system if the present output does not depend on the past values of the input. You can call that as a memoryless system. You can call here, correct? No. So you're going to call a system is said to be the memoryless system if the present output does not depend on the past values of the input here. So that is for the system which is going to describe in terms of the input-output relation. That is for the system which is defined in terms of the input-output relation. So input-output relation is nothing but we have defined the y of t is equal to something called it is something c into x of t plus x of t minus 1. So this is the system what we defined in the module 2 in the beginning. For this system we verified the memoryless, all the 6 properties we have verified here. Okay, so here if it depends on the past values of the input, we can say it is a memory. If it does not depends, we can say it is a memoryless system here. Now what we are going to do is we find the expression for the y of t in terms of the impulse response h of t convolution with the x of t here. So now we are not going to consider y of t or we are not going to consider x of t. We are going to consider the system you are going to consider here. So for this system, we are going to check whether it's a memoryless system or the memory system. We are going to verify based on the how h of t is defined here. So don't get confused with what the properties we are seeing the previously and what are the properties we are seeing now. So don't whatever the properties you are going to consider now, don't get confused. So getting here right. So this is the properties of the system which is defined in terms of the input-output relation. Now we are verifying for the impulse response of the system. We are verifying the properties here. Okay, so for this one we are going to verify the properties. So now we can say the impulse response of system, okay, is said to be the memoryless system if the impulse response take the form like this here. We can take a discrete LTI system, a discrete time. I'm going to consider for the discrete time system. Similarly, I'm going to extend the property for the continuous time system. Okay, so a discrete time LTI system, is said to be memoryless. If and only if its impulse response is of the form, if its impulse response is of the form A discrete time LTI system is said to be memoryless system if and only if its impulse response is of the form. Suppose if the impulse response of the discrete LTI system, if it takes a form something like this here, C into delta of n. Okay, so if it is take the form in terms of h of n is equal to C into delta of n, then only we can say it's a memoryless system here. So other than C into delta of n, if any terms comes other than this one, C is nothing but the constant here. We can take C is nothing but the constant. Okay, so other than this one, if any terms comes means we can say it is said to have the memory. We can say it here. For example, I'm going to give h of n is equal to the something called 2 into 2 plus 2 plus 3. I'm going to give 2 comma 3. I'm going to give. So since it contains the value 2 along with the 3 is there, so then it is said to be the memory. It is said to have the memory here. If it contains only single term and that depends on n is equal to 0 only, it will be defined. So that is we can say it's said to have the memoryless system here. So only this form, if it is there, then only we can say it's a memoryless system. Otherwise, other than this one, if anything comes, we can say directly it has memory. Getting it right? So you can take where C is the constant here. C is the constant. Okay, so we know that. So we have. So what we have is. So we have. So y of n is equal to the x of n convolution with the h of n. Okay, so this is for the LTI system we have here. Let us substitute for the y of n. So it is nothing but x of n convolution with the C into delta of n. X of n convolution with the C into delta of n. C into delta of n. Taken right, everyone? C into delta of n. Now let us, I'm going to apply the convolution property of the impulse function. I'm going to apply here convolution property of the impulse function. So this will become equal to the, so y of n is equal to, okay, C is the constant here. So it is a delta of n into x of n, delta of n convolution with x of n. So this you can say it is equal to x of n here. Okay, so if it takes the form like this, so then only we can say that, it is said to be the memoryless system. Here you can see here the present output depends on the present input only here. Can you see here right now? So it does not depend on any delayed version of the input signal here. Okay, so such a system we can say it is a memoryless system. So other than this one, other than the delta of n, if anything comes in place of the h of n, we can say it has memory here. Okay, so you can take, therefore the present output depends only on the present input, and the system is memoryless system. System is memoryless system. Okay, done, right? So if h of n takes the form C into delta of n, then only we can say it's a memoryless system. Otherwise, we can say it has memory. The concept. Okay, I'll take the problems. I'll let you know. So next, similarly for the continuous time signal, you can take. Similarly for the continuous time system. Continuous time system is said to be memoryless. If so h of t is equal to the C into delta of t. Okay, so this is a condition for the memoryless for the continuous time systems. Okay, so this is a condition for the memoryless for the continuous time systems. So done, right? So you can highlight this one for the memoryless system. For the discrete time system, you can highlight this one here. So if h of n is equal to C into delta of n, then it is memoryless, or h of t is equal to C into delta of t, then it is memoryless. Otherwise, it is not a memoryless system. So take the next property, which is called as the causality. Causality property. So causality is nothing but, as we know that, suppose if the present output does not depend on the future values of the input, we can say it's a causal system. We can say it here, causal system. Okay. So similarly for the LTI system, for the impulse response, we can say that. Okay. So if the impulse response, you can take for the LTI system. For the LTI system, to be causal, for the LTI system to be causal, its impulse response should be so for the LTI system to be a causal system, its impulse response should be like this here. So h of n should be equal to 0 for n is less than 0. So for n is equal to -1, -2, -3, the h of n should not be designed here. Such a system we can call it as a causal system. We can study it. Causal LTI systems we can say it here. Okay. So if it takes a form like this, then only we can say it's a causal. The system is said to be causal here. So means that h of n should be not be defined here for n is less than 0. The concept. So what are the things I am highlighting here? So make a note of this one here. So just by keeping this in mind, we can find out the causality, everything you can find out easily. Then, okay, so we can prove that one proof here. So we have, so proof we can do it here. So we have y of n is equal to, so x of n convolution with h of n. Y of n is equal to x of n convolution with h of n. Okay, so let us define the formula. So y of n is equal to summation k can take the value from -infinity to +infinity, x of k into h of n minus k, x of k into h of n minus k. So here we are taken. So since what we are taken is h of n is equal to 0 for n is less than 0, we are taken consider here that is impulse response should be to be the causal system. H of n should be equal to 0 for n is less than 0. Okay. So similarly, we can take for h of n minus k like this here. So similarly for h of n minus k, okay, should be equal to 0 for n minus k should be less than 0. Okay, so the same thing we are going to take here. The same condition I'm taking here. N is less than 0. So n minus k should be h of n minus k should be equal to 0 for n minus k is less than 0, or n should be less than k. N should be less than k. N should be less than k. We are going to take here. Okay, n should be less than k, or k should be greater than n here. K should be greater than n. We are going to take here. Okay, so if this you are going to incorporate here, so the system will take the form like this here. The system will take the we can rewrite the expression like this here. So since h of n minus k is equal to 0 for k is greater than n, k is greater than n, so the summation can take from the -infinity up to n it will take here. Okay, so here what we have taken is for the system to be the causal system, we have taken h of n should be equal to 0 for n is less than 0. Means h of n should not be defined for n is equal to -1, -2, -3 should not be defined here. So in the impulse response in the input-output relation, we are incorporating the same condition here. So in place of n, we have n minus k. So h of n minus k is equal to 0 for n minus k is less than 0. Or if you are sending here, n is less than k. Or for k is greater than n, h of n minus k is 0. Means the k can take the value from -infinity up to n it can take here. So above the n, it will be equal to 0 will be there. So the summation will not exist here. Getting the concept right? So getting the concept now. So now let us, I'm going to include that condition here. So therefore y of n will become, okay, summation k is equal to -infinity to the n, because for k is greater than n, k is greater than the sum h of n minus k is 0. That's why I can take up to the n here. So x of k into h of n minus k we can take here. So since h of n minus k is equal to 0 for k is greater than n. That's why we are making this one here. So this is said to be the causal system. We can say it here. Causal system means it is not defined for the negative values of the k or negative values of the n. It is not defined. Okay, so we can take. So this is the condition for the causality. This is a proof we are done here. So what are these things that is a proof here? In the exam, if they ask the proof, we can do it here. So this is the condition we are taken. Okay. Done. Okay. So similarly, you can take. Similarly for continuous time system. Similarly for continuous time system. Okay. So just a minute. Yeah. take similarly for the continuous time system. To be causal, you can take h of t to be 0 for t is less than 0. So this is the condition for the causality for the continuous time system. So let us see the third property, which is called as the stability. Stability. Okay, you can take for a linear time invariant system. For a linear time invariant system. For a linear time invariant system. For a linear time invariant is nothing but LTI system. You can take here. For LTI system to be bounded input, bounded output stable. So BI/BO is nothing but the bounded input, bounded output stable. So already we have seen that one. If and only if its impulse response is absolutely summable. Absolutely summable. So means if it is bounded, then only we can say it's a bounded input, bounded output stable. Okay, so such a systems you're going to call it as a BI/BO system. You're going to call here. Okay, so the condition for that one is the summation, that is h of n. If I'm going to take the summation from k is equal to minus infinity up to the n, so the h of k, if I'm going to consider the magnitude, that magnitude should be less than infinity, should be there here. Okay, so such a system we can say it as it's a stable system, we can say it here. So k is equal to minus infinity up to then h of k should be less than infinity, should be there. So then only we can say it's a stable system. Otherwise, if it is not equal to infinity, we can say it as unbounded system, or it's not a stable system. Okay, so similarly for the continuous time system, we can say it here. Similarly for continuous time system. Okay, so for the continuous time system, you're going to take the integral. So h of t, the magnitude into dt, should be less than infinity. The magnitude of this one should be less than infinity. So this is a condition for the stability. So we can highlight this condition here. So we are what are the conditions are highlighted here? So we're going to make
Since the integral is not seen, sir.
Yeah, so we can take the magnitude of h of t should be less than infinity. Then that's right. Okay, so this is the condition for the stability for the continuous time system and the discrete time system. Done. Okay, so one more property is which is called as the invertibility. So you can take here. Let us see the property for the invertibility here. Okay, so you can take the property which is called as the invertibility. So invertibility is nothing but if we are able to recover the input from the output of the system, we can say it as a invertible systems. We can say it here. Okay, so such a systems you can call it as invertible systems. Okay, already we know about the invertible systems in the we have verified the invertibility property. So you can take a discrete time LTI system, a discrete time LTI system is said to be invertible. Is said to be invertible system. Invertible system is said to be invertible system if and only if okay, so we can say it's an invertible system if and only if h of n, okay, it is an impulse response, and let us say h inverse of n is it's an invertible system. The convolution of that should be equal to the delta of n here. The convolution of that should be equal to the delta of n. So then only we can say it as a invertible system. We can say it here. So let us assume that the invertible system is the having the impulse response which is equal to the h inverse of n. Okay, take where h inverse of n is the impulse response of the invertible system. Impulse response of the inverse system. You can take here inverse system. Okay, so already we have seen how the inverse system will be there here. So that is the x of n is the input. So h of n is the impulse response. The y of n you're going to get here. So this y of n is equal to x of n convolution with h of n we got here. So now this is the inverse system. Having the impulse response h inverse of n here. So I'm going to get the output. Say output is nothing but z of n. So z of n is equal to the y of n convolution with h inverse of n. So z of n is equal to y of n convolution with h inverse of n. Okay, so let us say substitute for the y of n here. Y of n is nothing but, so it's a x of n convolution with h of n convolution with the h inverse of n. And we know h of n convolution with h inverse of n is nothing but delta of n. So we can substitute the same thing here. So delta of n. So z of n is equal to, we know x of n convolution with delta of n is nothing but x of n. So such a system is said to be the invertible system if the inverse of this one, if I take the convolution, that should be equal to the delta of n we should get here. So then only we can say it's a invertible system. So right. So similarly, we can extend the condition for the continuous time system like this. Similarly, we can extend the condition for the continuous time system. So it's visible, right?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. So well, so you can take similarly for the continuous time system. Similarly, for the continuous time system, we can take h of t convolution with h inverse of t should be equal to the delta of t. Okay, h of t and h inverse of t should be equal to the delta of t. So this is a convolution. This is the condition for the invertible systems. Okay. Now with this basics, I'm going to take the problems we'll take here. So you're going to verify the properties problems. So to recall the summary, for a system to be memoryless, h of n should take the form like this here, c into delta of n, or h of t is equal to the c into delta of n. This is for the memoryless system. If h of n is not in this form, we can say simply it is said to have the memory here. That is for the memoryless. For the causality, the h of n or h of t should be equal to 0 for t or n is less than 0 here. Okay, so if it is not equal to 0 for n is less than 0, we can say it's a non-causal system. So similarly for the stability, we are going to verify this condition here. We are going to substitute in the summation and the integration. We are going to evaluate that one, and we are going to find that that should be less than infinity here. So otherwise, we can say it's a unstable system. So let us see the problems on this condition here. For the following, okay, you can take for the following LTE systems. 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 Verify whether the impulse response is stable First one. Second one is causal. And third one is memoryless systems. Okay, so we need to verify for the following systems whether the impulse responses is stable, causal, and other memoryless systems. Okay, so let us verify for the systems here. It's very simple. Okay, so first one, let us take here. First one. So take h of n is equal to the 2 to the power of n into u of n minus 1. 2 to the power of n into u of n minus 1. So first property is memoryless property. Memoryless. Okay, so h of n is equal to 2 to the power of n into u of n minus 1. So u of n minus 1 means it is going to start from n is equal to 1 up to infinity. N is equal to 1 up to infinity, the signal will be defined here. N is equal to 1 up to infinity, the signal will be defined. So we can say it's a okay up to infinity, it will be defined here. So right, so memoryless. So since it is not in the form of h of n is not in the form of c into delta of n, because we have u of n is there, so it is not in the form of c into delta of n. We can say the system is said to have memory here. It is a not a memoryless system, or we can say it has a memory here. For the memoryless, straight away you can compare with the delta of n. If it is not equal to delta of n, we can say it's a memory. It is said to have memory here. Okay, you can take since h of n, since h of n is not in the form, h of n is not in the form, so h of n is equal to c into delta of n. So it is not equal, it's not in the form of this condition here. So therefore the system has memory. The system has memory. So it is said to have the memory. It has memory. So done. It has memory. So next let us verify for the causality. So since we can say the system u of n minus 1. So this is u of n minus 1 means it is going to start from n is equal to 1 up to the infinity. It will be there here. N is equal to 1 up to the infinity. So it is n is equal to 1 up to the infinity is there. So the system is equal to 0 for n is less than 0 here. So you can take, so h of n is equal to 2 to the power of n into u of n minus 1. So we know u of n minus 1 is nothing but it is equal to 1 for n is greater than or equal to 1 here. So I can take, so since h of n is equal to 0 for n is less than 1 year, so we can say the system is said to have it is a causal system here. The system is said to be the causal system here. So right, we can say it's said to be the causal system. Then okay, you can take since h of n is equal to 0 for n is less than 0. For n is less than 0. Therefore, it's a causal system. Causal system. That's it. We need to verify here, nothing else. So just one statement. Just observe these two conditions here and say whether it's a memory or it has a causal like that here. Done. Next, let us verify for the stability here. So let us verify the condition for the stability. So you can take for the system to be stable. For the system to be stable. So you can take S is equal to summation. N can take the value. So n can take the value from minus infinity to plus infinity. The magnitude of h of n should be less than infinity. So n can take the value from minus infinity to plus infinity. H of n can take the value less than infinity. It will take here. We can take the value less than infinity. Then now let us substitute in the summation here. So S is equal to summation. N is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Let us substitute for the h of n given. So it is 2 to the power of n into u of n minus 1. U of n minus 1. So we know that u of n minus 1 is equal to 1 for n is greater than or equal to 1. Or I can say 1 is less than or equal to n is less than infinity. and 0 for n is less than 1. Okay, so the summation can change accordingly. So S is equal to summation n is equal to 1 to infinity. So 2 to the power of n in place of u of n minus 1, we can replace with these limits. We can do replace here. These limits we can replace with these limits here. We can replace with these limits. So done. Next, we know that this, if you are going to expand here, for n is equal to 1, it is 2 here. For n is equal to, it is 2 to the power of 2. For n is equal to 3, it is 2 to the power of 3, and so on. For n is equal to infinity, it will be infinity. So this is equal to the infinity here. Correct. Now, when you are going to take the summation, okay, so because it is exponential, it is going to increase like this here. If I substitute n is equal to infinity, it will become infinity. So therefore, it is not a stable system here. So it is not a stable system. The given system is not a stable system here. So it is a causal, it has memory, and it is not a stable system. So right. So like this, we can verify the properties. So any doubts in verifying the properties? Any doubts? So got it now. So memoryless causality easily we can verify. For the stability, you need to solve the expression and we need to verify that one here. So right. So let us take some more problems we'll take here. So take the second one. H of n is equal to 0.5 to the power of magnitude of n. 0.5 to the power of magnitude of n. So take h of n is equal to 0.5 to the power of magnitude of n. So whenever the magnitude of n is given, so it should be assumed that so n can take the values, both positive and negative values it will take here. So whenever this is the thing about the magnitude of n here. So magnitude of n means, okay, it means that n will take, okay, so n will take the values from minus infinity is less than n is less than plus infinity. Minus infinity is less than n is less than the plus infinity. It will take both the values it will take here. Okay, so both the values it will take here. So that's the meaning of magnitude of n. That's the meaning of magnitude of n. So it will take the values from minus infinity to the plus infinity. It will take the values. So right, done. Now I can write the signal as like this here. So h of n is equal to, so it is equal to 0.5 to the power of n. So for 0 is less than or equal to n is less than infinity. Less than infinity. So 0.5 to the power of n. So from 0 to the infinity. And for the negative values, so it is 0.5 to the power of okay, minus n from n can take the value minus infinity is less than, okay, n is less than the minus 1 because already 0 we are considered here. Already 0 we are considered, so it can take the value up to the infinity. It will take the value like this here. Okay, it can take the value like this. So 0.5 to the power of minus n. So from minus infinity up to the minus 1. Or else we can, this one we can represent it as a, so this one we can represent as u of n we can represent here, u of n. Okay, because u of n is equal to 1 from 0 to infinity. And this one we can represent as a, so since from it is minus 1 to minus infinity is there, we can represent this one as a u of minus n minus 1 we can do represent here. U of minus n minus 1 we can do represent. Okay, so that is for this one. So by combining this one, we can write as, so 0.5 to the power of minus n. So from u of minus n minus 1, because it can take the value u of n minus 1 means from 1 it is going to start. When you take the reflection, it is from minus 1 to the minus infinity it will take here. So plus 0.5 to the power of n into u of n. So any doubts in this one? Any confusion? Any confusion Aktidia? Okay, so since n,
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, so I'll repeat once again here. So 0.5 to the power of the magnitude of n means n can take both the positive and negative values here. Positive and negative values. So for the positive values, it will be 0.5 to the power of n will be there. For the negative values, it will be 0.5 to the power of minus n will be there here. Minus n. Okay, so minus n means, so from 0 to infinity will be there, this one. From 0 to infinity. Okay, so for this one already 0 we are considered here. For negative values means it is going to start from minus 1 up to the minus infinity it will be there here. For the negative values, it can take the minus and it will take here. For positive values, it will take plus and here. So this one mathematically we can write like this here. So this one mathematically we can write here. So we know that u of n is equal to, it is 1 from 0 is less than or equal to n is less than infinity. Correct, alva? So this is equal to 1 from 0 is less than n is less than infinity. And in order to represent from -1 to the minus infinity, so we can use the term called u of minus n minus 1. So this is equal to 1 from minus infinity is less than n is less than the minus 1 here. Is less than minus 1. So this will be equal to 1 will be there. So right, this will be equal to the 1 will be there. So I'm going to consider the same condition and I'm going to substitute there here. Okay, so you can take, we know that. So this is the condition here. So u of n minus 1 means it is going to start from 1 to the infinity. When I take the reflection, it will become u of minus n minus 1 will get here. Minus n minus 1. Okay, so done. Done, right? Now?
Sir, will the u of n value change with respect to every sum, sir?
No, with respect to the condition, it is going to change here. Based on this condition, with u of n value is going to change. Based on the time limits. For example, if I want from 1 to, so for example, assume that 2 to infinity if I want means, so I can represent this one as the u of n minus 2 I can represent. Is it okay now? From 2 to infinity if I want means I can represent as a u of n minus 2 I can represent here. So if I want from minus 2 to the infinity if I want means I can represent as a u of n plus 2. So already we defined with respect to the unit step functions already we have seen. Correct now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So done. Now we got h of n we got here. So when whatever the values they're given, we need to convert in terms of the simplest form. Like this, we need to convert here. So h of n is equal to, so already we know unit step functions. Already we have done the shifting, everything we have done. So it is u of minus n minus 1 plus 0.5 to the power of n into u of n. 0.5 to the power of n into u of n. So let us verify the memory causality. Okay. So first one is memory. It's a memoryless system. So whether it's take the form c into delta of n, whether it is taking the form c into delta of n, it is not taking that form, right? Okay, so you can take since h of n is not in the form, okay, so h of n is not in the form, that is a c into delta of n. It is not in the form. So if it is delta of n is there, then only we can say it's a memoryless system, or else we can say it is said to have the memory. We can say it here. It is said to have the memory. So therefore, the system has memory. The system has memory. That's it here. The system has memory. Done. So just you are going to compare with this equation here. If it is equal to c into delta of n, we can say it's a memoryless system, or else we can say it is said to have memory here. Done, right? Done now? Any doubts in the memoryless?
No, sir.
Similarly, okay. Similarly, we go for the causality. So for the causality, so done with memory, right? Done with memory. So that's why if you know the basic concepts, so we can do the problem easily. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you people to solve. So without knowing basics, so it's difficult to solve the problem. Let us go for the causality. So take second one, causality. Causality. So since for the causality means the h of n should be defined only for the positive values of time. So since it is defined for the negative values of the time, we can say it is not a causal system here. So this is defined from -1 to the minus infinity. So we can say it's not a causal system here. Okay, you can take. So since h of n is not equal to 0 for n is less than 0, or n is less than 0, therefore it is a non-causal system. Non-causal system. It is a non-causal system. It is a non-causal system. Done. Let us verify the third property. which is called as stability. Any doubts in the causality and memoryless? Okay, can take for the system to be stable. For the system to be stable. Okay, so yes, summation, that is n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity. The magnitude of h of n, should be less than infinity. Should be less than infinity. So that is the condition for the stability. Okay, so now let us take the S here. Summation n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. It is a 0.5 to the power of the magnitude of n here. So this you can take it as summation n is equal to minus infinity, as already we have splitted here. So already we have splitted this one. So let us take that condition. So n is equal to minus infinity up to the minus 1. So it is 0.5 to the power of minus n plus 0.5 to the power of minus summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So it is 0.5 to the power of n, 0.5 to the power of n. Okay, so we have this one. So we know the, since here second summation we have the formula, but for the first one we don't have any formula here. So that's why we'll change n to the minus n. Let us change here in the first summation, because we don't have any formula from minus infinity to minus 1. We have the formula from 1 to infinity is there here. So that's why let us change here. So I can take in first summation, change n to minus n. So in the first summation, let us change n to minus n. So this will become n is equal to plus infinity to the 1, it will become, and this is a 0.5 to the power of n plus summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So second summation will remain same. So this will become summation. We can interchange here, n is equal to 1 to infinity. So it is 0.5 to the power of n plus 0.5 to the power of n plus summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So 0.5 to the power of n. So let us recall the formulas for this one. So we have the formula summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So a to the power of n is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus a. So provided a should be less